United States, 1954. Dr. Sam Sheppard was a respected, successful surgeon. He lived in a beautiful house on the shores of Lake Erie, Ohio, with his wife Marilyn. From the outside, they seemed like the perfect couple. But on July 4th, 1954, everything changed. That night, Sam said he fell asleep on the living room couch. Suddenly, he heard his wife's screams. He ran upstairs and saw a dark figure standing over Marilyn. He struggled with the intruder, but was knocked unconscious. When he awoke, Marilyn was dead. She had been brutally beaten. The house was in chaos. But the police didn't believe Sam's story. They found no evidence of a break-in. They believed the scene had been staged. Sam was arrested. The case exploded in the media. Newspapers painted Sam as a cold-blooded killer. Rumors of affairs, jealousy, and rage filled the headlines. In court, the prosecution claimed Sam had murdered his wife in a fit of passion. The jury agreed. He was sentenced to life in prison, but the investigation was deeply flawed. Evidence was mishandled. Witnesses were pressured. The judge was openly biased. Years later, Sam's legal team fought for a retrial and won. In 1966, Sam Sheppard was acquitted. He was a free man, but freedom came at a price. His career was destroyed. He struggled with alcohol, depression, and public shame. Sam died young in 1970, just 46 years old. And the real killer? Never found. The most likely suspect, a local window washer, was never properly investigated. Some say he lived out the rest of his life quietly, while the man once called the killer doctor carried the weight of a crime he didn't commit. In the heart of ancient Rome, the Forum stood silent, trembling under the shadow of one man, Lucius Cornelius Sulla. A general, a statesman, a man once exiled, who returned with vengeance burning in his chest. In 82 BC, Sulla marched on Rome, not as a protector, but as its conqueror. His enemies, the populares, had underestimated him, and now they would pay. But Sulla's wrath was not a quick strike. It was a slow, methodical purge. He issued the infamous proscription lists, long scrolls of names hung in public spaces, names of those condemned without trial. Senators, nobles, merchants, even friends. Anyone suspected of opposing him. A name on the list meant death. No questions, no defense. Neighbors turned on neighbors. Sons betrayed fathers. Friends became executioners because anyone who killed a proscribed man could keep part of his property. The Forum, once filled with voices of debate and trade, echoed now with screams. Severed heads were mounted on spears, displayed in front of the Senate as warnings. Rivers of blood ran through the marble streets, but Sulla was calm. He called it restoring the Republic. For him, this was justice. For Rome, it was terror. By the time the purge ended, hundreds were dead, thousands ruined, and the city itself changed forever. Even after Sulla stepped down as dictator, Rome never fully healed. The scars he left weren't just on the bodies of the fallen. They were carved deep into the soul of a republic that would never be the same again. In the year 71 BCE, the Roman Republic trembled. A slave, a gladiator, named Spartacus, had done the unthinkable. He had broken free. And not just himself. With him, tens of thousands of slaves rose in rebellion. Spartacus was no ordinary fighter. Trained in the brutal arena, he knew violence. But he also knew strategy. His army wasn't just a mob. It was a force. They defeated Roman patrols, looted cities, and grew stronger with each victory. The Senate, humiliated, sent general after general. But Spartacus crushed them. Again and again. By 72 BCE, his forces swelled to over 70,000 men and women. Runaway slaves, desperate peasants, even deserters from the Roman legions. Together, they carved a bloody path through Italy. But Rome would not fall so easily. The Senate summoned Marcus Licinius Crassus, one of the wealthiest and most ruthless men in Rome. Crassus restored discipline, even reviving the ancient punishment of decimation, killing 1 in every 10 soldiers for cowardice. The final confrontation came in 71 BCE. Spartacus and his army faced Crassus near the Silarus River. They fought fiercely. Spartacus, legend says, cut down 2 centurions himself, fighting to the end. But the rebels were no match for Rome's full might. Tens of thousands were slaughtered. 6,000 survivors were crucified along the Appian Way, a chilling message from Rome. Never rise again. Spartacus's body was never found. Some say he died on the battlefield. Others whisper he escaped, vanishing into history. But one thing is certain. His revolt shook the very foundations of Roman power. And even today, the name Spartacus echoes as a symbol of defiance, of the oppressed daring to fight back. High in the rocky cliffs of ancient Persia, carved into sheer stone walls, lie the majestic tombs of the Achaemenid kings. Massive facades, decorated with intricate reliefs, stand silent, staring over the dry plains below. These are the final resting places of great rulers, Darius the Great, Xerxes, Artaxerxes, but behind their glory hides a darker story. As the kings were laid to rest, the entrances to their tombs were sealed. Workers, artisans, and slaves who built the tombs were sometimes buried alive inside to protect the secrets of the royal burial. Whispers tell of suffocating darkness, last gasps in chambers deep within the mountain. And even outside, the tombs were not safe. Grave robbers, desperate for gold and treasure, risked death, creeping through hidden tunnels to break in. Some were caught, tortured, or executed. Others simply disappeared, swallowed by the labyrinth of stone. Today the tombs still stand, winds howling through the cliffs, the faces of ancient kings gazing eternally at the sky. Few dare approach at night, when the shadows grow long, and the weight of history presses heavy on the air. In the end, the tombs remind us, no matter how powerful a man may be in life, death waits in silence, carved in stone. The streets of 13th century Milan echoed with whispers of heresy and vengeance. Peter of Verona, a Dominican inquisitor, was relentless. He hunted heretics with a zeal that chilled even the faithful. And he made enemies, dangerous ones. Among them was a man named Carino, a believer in the Cathar heresy. Carino didn't just disagree with Peter, he wanted him silenced. On April 6, 1252, as Peter traveled along a lonely road with a companion, he was ambushed. Carino struck first, a brutal blow with an axe, splitting Peter's skull. But Peter didn't die. Not yet. Bleeding, barely conscious, the Inquisitor managed to trace a trembling cross in his own blood on the ground beside him. It was a final act of defiance, a last declaration of faith. Carino then turned to Peter's companion and cut him down as well. But Peter still clung to life, so Carino took a saw and finished what he started. When the bodies were discovered, the church declared Peter a martyr, a symbol of righteousness in a world drowning in fear. Within a year, he was canonized, Saint Peter of Verona, the fastest canonization in papal history. But Carino, he fled. Haunted by what he had done, he eventually surrendered and spent the rest of his life in repentance, inside a monastery. Some say he never spoke again. Some say he heard Peter's voice every night, whispering through the darkness, "You cannot silence the truth."